Feels like forever ago that we played against Connecticut, but just to wrap up, felt like the offense again. It felt like a very balanced offense in terms of not necessarily balanced. To me, is not running and throwing the same amount of times. Balanced to me, but balanced offense, when you say that word, to me means that however the defense dictates that you have to win the game, that you're able to do that. If they're taking away the run and forcing you to throw the football, that you're capable of doing that. And so I think the offense, throw for over 400 yards, that certainly wasn't, we don't go into games saying we're going to throw for 400 yards, but it was necessary to win the game, and the offense responded. And then again, I think we take for granted the nation's best run defense, and I want to make sure we don't. So I'm always proud of the defense when you can hold a team, under 100 yards rushing for however many weeks in a row it is. Still feel like, though, that UCONN maybe exposed a couple weaknesses in our pass coverage that we need to get fixed, but certainly none of that really matters this week against the Naval Academy, because your defense basically changes completely in terms of how you defend the triple option. And I think our guys are excited to go play at their place, excited to have a normal week. 5 games in 24 days or whatever it was. It's nice to have a normal Monday today where our players are off, our coaches are game planning all day, and get back to a little bit of a sense of normalcy. Questions?
Tom, what kind of growth and progress have you seen from Linnell Bonner, and how much have you guys adapted that role to him, or how much has he adapted to the role?
I think a lot of it is, Linnell's a good receiver, and was coming into the season. He was last year. He's obviously gotten better. He's improved his route running. Physical guy for that position. But I think Coach Applewhite and the offensive staff have done a really good job of saying, okay, this guy's not DeMarcus Ayers. He has some strengths that are different than DeMarcus, and has some limitations that are different than DeMarcus. But he's our guy. I mean, that's what we got right now, and so we've got to be able to kind of adapt the offense and adapt that role around him and what he's good at, and I think the offensive staff have done a nice job of that.
Tom, there was a ridiculous stat about Howard Wilson, how throwing his way quarterbacks had like a 10.9 quarterback rating, and that he had touched the ball as much as receivers had caught him with his interceptions, and has just his development and coming off the injury last year and really needing him with Brandon Wilson out. What has he done differently this year that has turned him into that kind of player at the corner position?
Well, he's bigger and stronger. Last year he was a toothpick, and I'm not saying that's what did I just do? What is this? Is this somebody's?
Yeah, that was mine.
Okay.
We're good?
Got it?
Here, we'll put it up here. I got it, bro. Last year he was very, very small. And this year I think he's got an added strength and size to him, to where he feels very confident in the way that he's playing, and he's able to be physical with wide receivers. Last year, he got the little bit that he did play, he got tossed around a bunch by bigger wide receivers, where this year I think he's much more confident playing against bigger wide receivers because of his size and strength. And Howard's got great feet, you know, and he always seems to be in a very good position from a footwork standpoint. But I believe the kind of the tipping point is how much strength and size that he's gained over the last year or so.
Tom, after 5 years.
What are you saying?
How's Greg's health overall after 5 games? How's he doing with the shoulder and anything else?
Yeah, I think pretty good. You know, took a couple pretty big time hits against Connecticut and stood in there. Was really proud of. I mean, that's something Greg has really never done in his career, was sit in the pocket and take a hit while you're throwing the football. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's because he doesn't have to a lot of the time, because he can run around and make that guy miss and go make yards. But I think he realizes for the offense to succeed that he needs to be able to make those kind of throws, and he's doing that now. So I think, you know, it takes him a while to warm up. I think maybe this is the only difference between now and before the injury. And I know it hurts him, you know, that there is some pain when he does throw, but none of it is, you know, once he's warmed up, loose, and the adrenaline's flowing, there's nothing limiting in terms of his shoulder.
Tom, is Navy's offense significantly different without Keenan Reynolds?
I mean, that's like asking if our offense would be different without Greg Ward. I mean, yeah, it's different from a personnel standpoint. I mean, that's one of the greatest college football players to ever play the game, and he's not there anymore. But the schematics of what they're doing is the same, and I'm sure will always stay the same at the Naval Academy. But yeah, I mean, that dude was really, really good, and I'm glad he's not there anymore. What is it with the Ravens or something like that, right? Playing slot receiver. He was a man.
Obviously, the team hasn't had too much of a problem stopping the run the last 6 or 7 games. What are some of the challenges you and your coaching staff run into in preparing your team to face a triple option offense, opposed to, you know, all the spread out offenses that you see today?
Yeah, it's totally different. All of your assignments are different. All of your run fits are different. Even the where you line up on defense is different, and so we have had success against the run in previous games, but that's a conventional either two-back or spread kind of run. We haven't played a triple option team since Navy last year, and so this will be a big test, you know, to say that we're going to have the same kind of success against the run against these guys as opposed to the last 6 or 7 ball games. I think would be foolish. I don't think that's the goal of ours, because they run it every snap, or at least almost every snap, and so and they run it in a very unique way. So I think you've got to limit them. You've got to be very assignment sound. You've got to be physical, but I think, you know, hopefully the public knows now, after having played these guys going on our second time, your defense literally is completely different this week than it is any other week, as far as assignments, coverages, front alignments. All of that is completely different, and you know, it's a challenge to get that ready in just 1 week, and that's why their offense has been successful over the years.
Tom, along those lines, when did you guys start preparing for the triple option? Was it similar to last year in spring?
Well, we had, not in the spring, last year we played on week 12, so we only had one Thursday night game, so we had basically every Sunday, we spent 10-15 minutes on Navy getting ready for them and kind of the game plan and tinkering with the game plan, where here we spent some time during training camp, not a whole lot, once every 5 or 6 practices, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and then we've only really had 3 regular Sundays around here, in 5 weeks, or 2 regular Sundays, because the first week is not a regular one either. So a little less time, but the good thing is there's carryover too from what we did last year, and because what they do is not going to change from year to year. They do what they do, and we've got to vary our looks a little bit this year because we did have quite a bit of success last year slowing down their run game, and I'm sure they will have some wrinkles to combat that. So there is some adjustment that we have to do, but for the most part, I think the carryover kind of takes the place of having to prepare every week like we did last year.
And then just 2 thoughts on going to Annapolis and playing a game at the Naval Academy.
Yeah, excited. I had one of our interns look up because I wanted to know what they have the little the names of the battles around the wall of their stadium, and kind of if that was every battle or what the significance of that was. And I think it's from 1900 and beyond, any battle that the United States Navy has been a part of, and the stadium actually serves. I learned this too. Serves as a memorial to all of the Navy and Marine soldiers that have ever fought for this country. So I think it's one thing to play them at home. You definitely show them as much respect as you can, and we did last year in terms of singing their fight song after the game and all that good stuff. But it'll be, I'm sure, some goosebumps, going to that place and watching them. They march each, I hate that I don't know this, either platoon or troop or whatever it is, and they announce the troop leader's name over the PA, and you got the jet flying in prior to the game. So it'll be a pretty neat experience for our kids in terms of all of the pomp and circumstance and regalia that's involved in a home game now. Good. All right, thank you.